Yo, what up?
What's going on, brother?
What's up, Paul?
I'm doing wonderful. Now, I'm just going to start from the beginning. I mean, Steven Kepfer, my friend, my brother, I love you to death.
But can you do, wait, before you go on to the stuff, can you tell people who I am?
I can.
They may not know who I am. I mean, we're assuming that they know who the fuck we are when we do these.
So I'm sitting here with Sambo Steve, soon to be Safety Steve. But Sambo Steve, Steve is one of my greatest friends. He is also the owner of New York Combat Sambo in New York City, and it has been here for almost 20 years plus.
Yep.
I have been a student here for 15. He is a producer. He writes. He is all of the aspects. He's a stuntman. I mean, I don't know. It's really tough. I feel like the more I talk about you, I'm just going to be like, oh, it's like.
No, keep talking. I'm loving this. This is great.
I'm like, so Steve is fucking great. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
And the person showering me with these amazing lies and compliments is my partner in crime, Paul Veracci, stuntman, also filmmaker, and a professional chef formerly. I mean, I guess once a chef, always a chef, but that's not how you make your living now.
Very true. Student
and friend here at the gym for like 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And
I teach her,
he teaches here. He coaches here.
We coach together.
We've coached fighters in the corner.
My friend, is some of the best times I've like.
Yeah.
Oh, there's nothing better than being at ringside.
Corner. Totally.
That's a feeling that, like, I don't know how to describe cornering a fighter. It's pretty freaking amazing, especially when they fucking win.
Yeah, it's not always so amazing when they don't win. It's not so cool. But anyway, I guess I had a bright idea of doing a podcast, and I hit up Paul and was like, "Hey, you want to do a fucking podcast with me?"
And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." I was like, "Are you sure you want to spend more time with me, though?"
Well, the answer was yes,
and it was, and it worked out great.
Yeah, cool. Out great. And so here we are. We are your co-hosts. We are your guides this evening. So fasten your seatbelts, keep your hands and feet inside the car,
and get ready for the Fights with Friends podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Fights with Friends. And by the way, we need to give a shout out to the people that you don't see, you don't hear about, and that is our producers and editors that do such a massive amount of work for us. Matt Kaplowitz,
you are the man. Every time we talk about something and we bring out something visual, and then all of a sudden, whoosh, it just pops up in front of your face if you're watching this. Matt is the man for that.
Yeah, he's the one that handles all the editing and our assets and all that stuff. And you guys don't hear it, but once in a while we get like the voice from God in our headphones telling us that we have shitty mic discipline and we're leaning too far away from the mic.
And then that means we're going to be making Richard's job horrible.
Rich Butler.
Richard, we love you.
He's our audio guy, man.
Thank you for telling me why I sound like shit and hoping that I sound better now.
Yeah. But long way of saying that there's a lot of people putting a lot of work into these shows.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And we hope you appreciate it. Definitely. And for those who really appreciate it, this is a good moment to say we do have a Patreon. So if you dig what we're doing,
please give us a like, follow, and a subscribe.
Yes, and you can definitely join our Patreon, and there's some cool perks for folks on our Patreon, including advanced access to the episodes.
Yeah, and maybe a couple custom designed things that we may send out to a few of you. And coming along in the future, we may have a couple of cool giveaways for our Patreon members.
Yeah, we're working on a couple of special things that will only be available to Patreon.
Maybe do some raffles.
Yeah, for sure. The Patreon family is slowly growing, but we really love you guys. And we have some stuff we're planning for you guys once we kind of get a little more established here. But it's your support that really helps this show going. Our sponsors helped get us off the ground, but
and thank you so much to all of our sponsors.
Yeah, but the Patreon folks, you're like the listeners, the people that really care about what we're doing, and you're going to help us stay afloat.
And all of our feedback, most of it's going to come from you guys. So
yeah,
we really, really look forward to all of it, and we can't wait to hear from you guys.
Yeah, man. And Sherry Rene.
Our next guest. I'm very, very excited for our next guest. I am going to say a young and up and comer, but I think I apparently in this interview maybe proved wrong about being a young and up and comer.
I don't know, because let me tell you something. Like you know, I've never met Sherry before. We're going to be talking about the Burnham versus Burnham fight in season 5.
What an epic fight, and what an amazing lineage of Star Trek fights. Like, there's so many fights in Star Trek, but to be part of an actual type of a fight, I guess would be the best way to say
sure.
it, that has a lineage that goes back to the original Star Trek is pretty freaking amazing.
Yeah, I mean, and so what we're talking about is crew members fighting themselves or facing themselves or debating themselves. I mean, Star Trek has a history of putting Kirk facing Kirk, Spock facing Spock, Riker facing Riker, you know. So this Burnham, and it's not always a fight. Sometimes it's a, you know,
intellectual battle.
You know, it's not always like, you know, it's not always an exact, like we were talking in the interview with Sherry, the Riker versus Riker episode, right? Riker, there was the transporter made a duplicate of Riker that he had to deal with himself, you know. Sometimes it's an alien mimic posing as Kirk. And then Spock has, in the original series, Spock had to decide which one is the real Kirk. And it becomes this chess game.
And then isn't the sometimes
those two actually fought, though, the two Kirks.
The bay makes it up for you.
The holodeck?
The holodeck. Wasn't there one where it was all in the holodeck?
There probably was. I mean, just prepping for the show, I remembered some off the top of my head. But I'm sure if I did research, there's way more. I know there's more that I couldn't think of.
Sure.
But the cool thing is that Sherry is now part of that family of crew versus crew fights. You know, self versus self.
And part of the entire
the Star Trek universe. I ain't gonna lie, I'm jelly. I've never worked on Trek.
No, it's amazing.
Dude, I have been a fan of Trek.
My small little part in Punisher, do you want to know why I love it? Because I'm in the Marvel fucking database. Like, it's just nerd things like that just kind of really, and it's like, that's such a, like, that's on such a nerd level for me. Oh my God, that's so awesome. I'm so jealous.
I mean, look, I was born in 68. Trek was a thing, right? That was the thing. It was what, 67 to 69, the original series. And I grew up watching it on syndication with the family night. We would watch it every week. We'd gather and watch Star Trek. I have pictures of me like in the 70s, the early 70s. I must have been 6, 7, 8 years old or something with Star Trek shirts on. You know, I mean, it's just been part of my life from the beginning. I love Trek, man.
I have a really weird question. When in the beginning, when you have all those ships, right, and you see the ships moving and whatever, and through the black, is all that stuff like, how do they shoot that? Is all that rigged up?
What are you talking about? In the early show?
Yeah. So in the beginning, when they have like, how big are those?
The original Star Trek, like the original Enterprise is pretty fucking big. You can see it at the Smithsonian.
Oh, I've never seen it. I have no idea. Like, how big is the original Enterprise that they would like shoot for the intro of the show? Is it huge? Was it like a little model? Was it?
I'm sure they had different sizes, but I've seen one that's big, like 6 feet long, like big.
Oh, that's
like
awesome.
Freaking big.
Oh, that's really cool.
Totally. Now it's probably all CGI and whatever.
Whatever.
But back then it was practical.
Nice. You know, I like that. That's
cool.
Man. I feel like when you go back, you can almost see it like on the strings.
Like my home movies.
Right.
But the original Trek was the most expensive show ever made at the time.
Wow.
If I remember correctly, but I'm pretty sure it was. Like, in special effects were top of the top. That was like it. That was like the best at that time. Roddenberry brought out the best.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool. Wow. But this is a show. Usually, you bring a ton of shit for the table. I brought a ton of shit this time.
You nerded out, man. I tried to ask you in the beginning. You cut me off because you're a dick. But what do you have here? What do you have here blocking my amazing, wonderful Funko?
All right. So first, I got a bottle of Romulan ale.
But this is awesome. I was looking at this in the light. This is a blue bottle.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy, dude.
Come on, Romulan ale is blue. Dude.
This is awesome.
But yeah, so we have a bottle of Romulan ale. I got some vintage figures here.
I want to look at the label.
Yeah. Oh, dude, the Romulan ale bottle. I mean, it's unopened. I'm not going to open that thing.
No, why would you?
No, of course not.
Oh, this has alcohol warning on it and everything.
No, that's real.
Oh, this
that's
is
real
legit.
booze, dude. That's real. Come on, that's real stuff.
Oh, it's got the Romulan writing on the top. This is awesome.
So then we got the vintage figures here. Not the original Star Trek figures. I wish I had my original ones, man. But I got, what do we got? We got Kirk, Uhura, Sulu, and Chekhov here, sitting along with our pops. Yeah. And then just because we're having Sherry on, who's doubling Michael Burnham, the captain of Discovery, I brought the special edition DVD's Captain's Log. And this is the best episodes chosen by all the captains at the time. But this, Discovery was
what? So they like reached out
their
to
favorite,
all the previous actors and were like, "What are your favorite Star Trek episodes?"
Yeah, what are your favorite episodes? So this is a collection of the actors' favorite episodes.
Do they actually do like interviews before the episode?
Yeah, there's definitely
really
some
cool.
commentary and like some,
I like that
special edition type
nice
stuff.
What's the card there?
Well, that's our friend Ava Blackwell.
I have one of those. I should have brought mine in today. Son of a bitch.
Yeah, and so she is actually bridge crew on Discovery. So this is a little signed card. I know you have one too.
I do. I should have brought it in today.
Ava's been here to train with us. We met Ava through our producer Matthew Kaplowitz.
Yes, we did.
And everybody, if you're a Trek fan, you need to listen to Matt's show.
I think Matthew might be a bigger Trek fan than you are.
Oh, he's way bigger than me.
He's like he knows it all.
His depth of knowledge on Trek is.
I've just heard him like break out into like when we're talking. And I'm just
totally.
like, what the fuck, dude?
No,
like,
his knowledge is
he jumps in and
point, man.
And that's when I was like, wow, he is.
But Trek
next
Untold,
level.
Trek Untold is his podcast. It's freaking great.
Awesome.
Yeah. So if you're a Star Trek fan, that is the podcast you need to be listening to. And that's how we met Ava, because she is not only an actor, but she's also a stunt performer. She has doubled Rebecca Romaine on Strange New Worlds.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
In addition to being, what's cool is she's like in the makeup on Discovery. She's in the alien makeup, so she's not burned. Like they don't see her face.
Oh, that's crazy.
So they can bring her back for other stuff.
It's funny. When I was working on The Walking Dead, they would literally talk about how the fans of The Walking Dead were so fucking into it that they could see like
who was behind the makeup?
Yeah. Like it was crazy, and they were like wouldn't reuse like stunt actors or doubles or whatever because they were like technically burned as zombies.
Yeah, so for those listening, burned means as stunt performers, we've been identified,
so they can't use you again. If in a scene where they basically need to show your face because they've already seen it die.
Right. So if you're in makeup,
some movies they don't care.
Like if you're behind the alien makeup, it could be anybody back there. Like they won't see your face, so they can bring you back as, say, a security officer or whatever, and they won't know you're the same person that's under the alien makeup, right? So like one of my very first jobs once I got in the union was Blacklist, but I was playing. Oh, this is an interesting tie-in because I was one of Brent Spiner's thugs, and as we know, Brent Spiner's Data. So I got to work with Brent Spiner, which was an amazing experience. He was so cool. But because I was playing a mercenary and my face was totally visible, they were like, well, you're burned. Now we can't bring you back, on another season. Even though Court brought me back 2 weeks later to double somebody, but they shaved my head and did all this other stuff.
Well, and you were double, so.
But Brent Spiner was awesome. I loved working with him.
Nice.
He was one of those cool actors that was like, we're sitting there having lunch, and all the stunt guys are all sitting over here and everybody's sitting over there, and he comes over and he's like, can I sit with you guys? He's so cool. And I told him later on back when I was on Twitter, I messaged to him like, hey, by the way, you made me feel really comfortable. That was my very first job. And he was like, he was just so nice. He chatted about it and stuff.
Oh,
it was
awesome.
like really cool because you know what it's like. We've talked about it before, like the nerd factor and stuff.
Oh, for sure.
And so when it's your first time ever working on a big set and you get to work with somebody, like Brent Spiner, that you're like, that because you're a Trek fan and you don't want to be all nerdy Trekkie and everything. He was totally cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
I remember the first time I worked when I was on Punisher, I was working with Ben Barnes, who was like Prince Caspian. And I remember we were eating lunch and the whole place was empty, and it was his first day on set, and it was me and 2 other security guys, and he walks up to us. No one else was in the area where we were eating. It was just us, and all the other tables were empty, and he walks up to us and he just looks at me, and I look right at him, and I look down at the seat, and I go, "Seat's taken, buddy." And Ben just looks at me with this look on his face like, "Wait, what?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm just fucking kidding, Ben. Sit down, man." Oh man, it was so funny. He was just, and Ben and I became fucking great friends after that. He was just like, "Dude, he's like, nobody fucks with me like that."
That's cool.
And I was just like, "Dude, and he was a great guy, and we would always break each other's balls, basically because he was Prince Caspian. So I would make fun of him that all of his fans were 14-year-old girls,
right?
And then he would just break my balls. So then, after we left, I gave him a New York. After we wrapped, I gave him a New York Yankees hat.
Yeah.
And I was like, every time you fucking come to New York, if you don't wear this hat, I was like, I'm gonna whoop your ass. And he goes, I have a present for you in the office. So I go to the office, and he left me a fucking signed photo of Prince Caspian.
Oh my God, that's so funny. But that's one of your favorite bits in your collection now.
Yeah, it's really, yes, because there's such a great story behind it, and he did it. It was just a big fucking joke. It was great. I love it.
Totally. So what else we got? I got my communicator, my replica USS Enterprise Bluetooth communicator.
Yeah, but that's awesome. You can actually answer your phone on that.
I can. See if I can do it. There we go. I want to get it by the mic. There we go.
Oh.
This thing is so cool. It syncs with my Bluetooth on my phone. I'm such a nerd, and I'll just walk around with this in my house. So when the phone rings, I'm like, "Hello," and it's got these little.
This is the captain speaking.
And it's got the visual.
Yeah,
of the weird little like.
Well, this was made from the actual design of the original communicators.
It's got the trippy little turny thing.
Yeah, here, let me show it to the camera. Hold on.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, totally. And it's got these little sound bites like.
This is the captain speaking. I'm a doctor, not an engineer. Beam us up, Mr. Scott.
Nice.
I can't change the laws of physics. I can't change the laws of physics.
This is not the best. This is the fucking best.
Beam us up, Mr. Scott.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, man. And then these are legit.
I'm like, what did you bring? Fucking papers from high school?
I did. Dude, look. This is when I was a kid going to Star Trek conventions. Like the Roosevelt Hotel and shit back in the day. This is, we looked at it before. The copyright date on this is 1973. That's how old this shit is. This is the Star Trek Enterprise blueprints.
That's amazing.
Yeah, this shit is cool, dude. It's
got the actual blueprints of the original Star Trek Enterprise.
Yeah.
Very cool. Are all the different pieces in here, or different sections of the ship?
Yeah, different sections of the ship.
Oh, very
Except
cool.
I also have right here, I have just the bridge blueprints.
Wow.
This is just the blueprints of the bridge. And I've got, what else do I got here? Yep.
Space station?
Yeah, totally. K7. Space Station K7.
Oh, and the Klingon battle cruiser. That's awesome.
Dude, that was my favorite ship. The Klingons they always had the cooler shit.
Of course, dude. You and I we're all about the Klingons, the Sith.
That's the hat. This is my Klingon hat right here.
Nice.
Yeah. And then, so I got all this stuff. It's freaking great. So I just wanted to have it on the table. We're doing our first, Star Trek related episode.
We're doing our first Steve Nerd episode.
How do I say "fuck you" in Klingon? I don't know. I have to look.
I'm not sure. Somebody put it in the comments because I bet you there's someone listening.
There's a way.
I'm like, Matt.
So,
I feel like in the back we're just hearing like.
I think that's everything I got here. That's all I brought in.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing, though.
Yeah, I had more. It was like, what do I bring in? What do I not bring in?
I've had that. I had that when we were doing the Wolf v. Wolf episode.
Oh yeah, like I have VHSs and DVDs and like just other stuff.
VHS?
Oh yeah.
What in the fuck? Whoever thought that shit would be worth money? Like VCRs? Do you have any idea how much money VCRs are going for right now?
I know. I just bought one so I could
what
digitize
in the balls?
some stuff.
That's crazy.
Speaking of technology. Like that segue?
I do like that segue.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
One of the best websites that I've seen designed is the Stunt Contact website.
It is a great website, especially for someone like me, because I can't keep track of fucking anything that I do unless I keep notes.
Yeah,
and I always mention it every time we bring it up. Their note keeping section is amazing. It lets me know who I send information to.
Yep.
And so I don't double down and I don't look like a jackass. Like I'm just like,
See, so for our listeners and watchers, this is what happens. We recorded 2 episodes today, and each episode we've gone through about 2 beers. So now we record our intros after the interview.
Yeah. So this is where we are.
Yeah, this is where we are. We're like 4 beers in right now.
Mm-hmm.
But Stunt Contact's awesome. Stunt Contact is a database of productions that are going on, who the stunt coordinators are, what's in pre-production, what's in development, even before a stunt coordinator's ever been hired. And so that is one of the main places to go if you're looking for work, if you want to submit your resume to a coordinator, if you want to just get intel on what's happening in the industry. It's great. It's a great site, and they have different subscription levels, so you can get weekly emails with everything that's dropped during the week, or you can even get dailies. Yeah, definitely an extremely valuable resource for us performers.
Going back to when we were talking about the Star Trek ship, right? When in the beginning you said it was like 6 feet tall, or 6 feet long, right? So when they're showing that had to be hooked up to stuff. Was that rigged? Like, how did that work?
Well, that would be that would be a rigger. In that case, that would probably be an IATSE rigger, and we love our IATSE brothers,
right? And we do.
Yeah, the IATSE guys don't fly people.
They don't.
But Brett Copes flies people.
He does fly people
because he's a stunt rigger. I like your segue there, dude.
I did. I tried.
I tried. That was good. But Fight or Flight Entertainment.
Fight or Flight Entertainment. If you want to learn how to fly, if you want to learn how to twirl and flip and basically move through the air smooth like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah, totally. Or at the very least, get an understanding, some basic concepts of rigging to be educated as a performer.
And even just to get comfortable being lifted off the ground.
Yeah, totally.
Fight or Flight Entertainment is your go-to place for sure. Brett Copes is one of the most knowledgeable people when it comes to flying anybody. I mean, he was the lead rigger for Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah.
I don't know if there is anything that when you're like, hey, flying people, Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah.
That is the number one. So Brett's awesome. We did a workshop with him. He came here. I had a fucking blast. I mean, he explains everything so well. He's so friendly. He's so approachable.
Mm-hmm. We love Brett.
We love Brett.
Yeah,
for sure.
Brett's awesome. Brett is awesome. Other sponsors we have that are not in any way that I could think of connected to Star Trek, but we love you just as much.
It's true.
Tactical Black.
Tactical Black, when you are... I love the word running and gunning, but when you're talking about safety, it's such a terrible term.
Well, listen, I know. Tactical Black, though, will teach you what you need to know to be safe with a firearm, right?
Onset and offset.
Get out of the dark.
Live shooting, but also it will show you how to be tactically proficient when you are not shooting live ammo.
Yes.
To make it look like you know how to shoot live ammo.
Yeah.
Which, if you are an actor, is one of the most important things that you can do.
And I imagine...
Well, if you're in a series that uses guns.
If you were firing a phaser, you would still need to follow the same safety protocols. So, if you're going to be firing a phaser and you're working on a Trek IP show, you should still train with Tactical Black on how to handle that firearm.
Yeah, because if I ever worked on a Star Trek episode and somebody pointed a phaser at me, I would immediately blog about it.
And Tactical Black actually does have the laser targeting trainers.
Those things are awesome, and they're like when you pull the trigger and then across the room the little laser dot comes out, and they have the register, right?
Yep.
That is really awesome.
Yeah, it's very cool. They're great. We love Tactical Black
for sure.
Metro Camera Cars.
Joe Burries.
Man.
I love Joe. We could talk about Joe forever. But the greatest thing that I love about Metro Camera Cars is I'm just going to call it the arm that comes off the top of the car.
The actual camera car.
The actual camera car. It's
the Russian arm, or now they call it the Ukraine.
The Ukraine. That thing is so cool. Like I mean, how many people does it take to make that work?
I don't know.
You got the guy. Like, that is pretty awesome.
We should have Joe on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, there are so many questions I have to ask about how do you shoot anything? How do you shoot? How do you edit a car scene?
Right. Well, I mean, imagine in the car. I imagine in the car you've got a driver, you've got the boom operator, you've got the camera operator.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally an entire crew, just like a small enterprise.
That's pretty awesome. Like shooting a small fight scene.
It's a shuttlecraft.
That's pretty.
But
you're such a dick.
I'm bringing it back to the topic, man. But
yeah.
seriously, Joe and Metro Camera Cars, they work nationally, not just locally here in New York, even though this is where they're based. Affordable. If you are a low budget, moderately low budget, whatever, they've made it affordable that their expertise, technology, skills, equipment can be available to you. All right. That's the whole idea.
Mm-hmm.
You are literally getting top tier level people for, affordable rates for a lower budget production. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't pay them more. I mean, I guess the point is they're making stuff available, and that's what I love about Joe's concept was to as filmmakers, there's oftentimes, right, stuff that we want to utilize, stuff we want to do, but we just can't afford it. Yeah, it's amazing and it's honorable.
And then what we got our Patreon members. I love Patreon.
Yeah.
They are our. How do you want to describe our Patreon members?
I want to describe them as people we love so much. We're going to do a second plug for Patreon.
Did we do Patreon already in the beginning? I thought that was our last episode.
Well, we did them on the last episode too.
Son of a bitch, dude.
That's all right. We love you, Patreon.
Oh my god!
But seriously, we do have a Patreon.
I can't believe we did it in the beginning though.
Link in the show notes. We did.
Did we really?
Yeah.
We went out. No, I honestly didn't remember. Like, he and I just started talking about Star Trek and all of our bullshit. Like, I completely forgot what we went to in the beginning when we brought this up. Oh, that's really funny.
Anyway, yes, we love our Patreon folks, and please check out our Patreon. And if you like what you're getting, consider supporting us. I think of that, we're gonna bring in Sherry.
We're gonna get going.
We're gonna talk.
This is gonna be a really exciting episode.
Let me tell you something. I mean, I think I started out to say this, but I didn't say it, or maybe I did. But we hadn't met. You're right. Neither of us met her before this episode.
None of us have met.
And she's got some amazing energy, man.
She really does. She's great.
Like her energy.
I felt like her and we have all sat and talked before, and this was just catch up.
Yes, like 100%.
Yeah.
I feel like she's part of the crew.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I dig her.
So now when you go into the interview and you hear her story, I think you'll understand why.
Yeah.
She's fucking awesome.
She's awesome. So glad she came on. And let's let everybody else know why we're so glad she came on. So without further ado,
here we go.
Sherry Rene. Yo.
What's going on, brother?
And here she is.
Hello.
Hey, thank you so much for coming on, Sherry.
Thank you so much for having me. Like, seriously, it's an honor to talk to you guys. So I'm really excited.
Have you done podcasts before?
No, first one.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice.
All right. We're even more excited. We have to make it to this level. So, like,
I'm nervous now.
We have to raise the bar so high that everybody that in your future career, they're going to have to measure up to this appearance. That's what I think.
Jesus, you just made me nervous now.
How is it in LA right now?
It's pretty good. It's been a little gloomy lately, which I'm not too happy about, but I love the sun, so.
That's Well, you see, you were originally a New Yorker.
I was.
I mean, you are a New Yorker.
Long Island.
Yeah. What part of Long Island?
Yeah. I actually grew up in Dix Hills, if you're familiar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I lived in Sound Beach for a while.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
No,
cool.
it's not. It's not.
I don't really know Sound Beach.
It's like white trash, Long Island.
Where is that?
It's by Rocky Point.
Oh,
and
okay.
like Port Jeff. Yeah, you're like, oh yeah, you're right. That is white trash, Long Island.
We're sorry for all the. We're sorry if you're, we're sorry if you're listening to this now and you live in Rocky Point.
That means it's true.
Yeah.
I used to live there.
Let's dial it back. I mean, first, before we start, we're here initially to talk about the Burnham versus Burnham fight from Star Trek Discovery, which you were in.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get to that, let's talk about how you got to that. So you were originally from New York and you left to go to LA. I mean, did you always think of yourself as wanting to be in the entertainment business, or how did that happen?
Actually, kind of, sort of. So my dad put me into martial arts when I was 3 years old because he's kind of a psychopath. He was like, you're too pretty.
You said when you first said it, I thought of like, oh, karate, and then when you said psychopath, I immediately just started was like glass hands dipped in glue when you're a child.
Definitely not that intense, but
yeah, he's like, you see this scene where they bind their hands. But so what did he put you in? What martial art did you start with?
So at first I was in Taekwondo,
right,
and then Shotokan karate.
Oh, cool. That's what I started out with. The reverse. Like my mom put me in Shotokan when I was, I don't know, 6 or 7 or something. And then later on, like everybody in the 80s, I switched to Taekwondo. Yeah. So that's cool. And then so that's how you got started with that. But you also did cheerleading.
I did, yes. I was a competitive cheerleader for 18 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yes.
That's actually more akin to like being a gymnast, honestly, right? I mean, there's so much more involved in that than people think.
Did you do like the spinny stuff on dudes' hands?
No, so I actually was like a back spot, which is like I was the one throwing the girls up in the air.
Oh,
yeah.
Larry is a cheerleading coach. Our friend Larry Baglio is a cheerleading coach. He used to be a cheerleading coach.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's funny. I know what some of these terms are because of Larry.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, but that was when did you? So you were doing martial arts before you got into that, though.
It was like weirdly kind of around the same time. So my dad put me into martial arts, and my brother played football. And I would always go to like his football games, and I would see like the girls with like the cute little outfits and the bows in their hair, and I was like, I want to do that. And I like begged them to put me into cheerleading. My mom hated cheerleaders.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she absolutely hated cheerleaders. Like she thought like cheerleaders were all like snobs and stuff. Like,
yeah, they were all the snotty girls in the yearbook club that like
like the way that the movies portray them.
Yeah, so that was her experience in her high school, but in my high school it was not like that at all. Like we were kind of like nerds in a way. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And so like how nerdy? Like were you like what do you when you say you were nerds? Like,
I wasn't a nerd. But
okay.
Some of the other girls were.
Not me.
No, I actually like was kind of the opposite of a nerd. Like I did terrible in high school. Like I barely graduated.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I think the only reason I graduated high school was because the teachers wanted my mother to stop yelling at them for how bad I was doing in school. So they're like, just get this kid out of here so we can stop dealing with his
parent
mother.
teacher night at Paul's school. They were like
solid D plus average. Thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
it would have been enough if it wasn't for her.
Probably a similar situation for me. They're like, let's just get this girl out of here. Like, get her out of our hair.
Yeah. So anyway, you're doing all this. You're going through high school. You're a shit student, but you've got these skills.
Yeah.
Sounds perfect, like a perfect stunt person.
So far, you're on the right path.
Yeah.
So what happens? Were you a Star Trek fan, by the way, or not?
I actually wasn't.
You don't have to say yes.
No, I actually wasn't. But my parents are huge Star Trek fans, so it was really cool. Really fun to get to work on something that they're like fans of.
Were they like watching Discovery and stuff already?
Oh yeah.
So they were like, "Oh my god!"
Oh,
Did they kind of all of a sudden assume that you knew everything about Star Trek and start asking you questions, and you're like, I have no idea?
No, it was actually the opposite. So they kind of like gave me the rundown on the Star Trek universe before I like got to work on the show. So
that's very cool.
Yeah, we're like kind of
that's very cool.
Teachers.
Oh,
that's sweet.
Great. That's really awesome.
Because I was like, I was raised on Star Trek syndication, like the original series in syndication, like when most people back in the 70s discovered it. It was
I
like,
was raised on The Next Generation.
yeah,
I watched that growing up.
yeah. But and like so we back then, I know I'm feeling old, but back then there was only a couple of channels, right? And you had to plan to watch stuff. And it was a big family night. We would sit around and watch Star Trek.
You'd have to flip the switch in the cable box.
Yeah, totally. It was like a huge thing. So my parents got me into Star Trek early.
Nice.
It's like awesome. I'm a little jelly that you got. I've never been on a Star Trek IP ever.
But wait, before Star Trek, you were in New York, right?
Yes.
How did you make it out to LA?
Okay, so I actually ended up going to college. I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. I actually did really good in college. I kind of turned it around from high school. I graduated with honors. But right out of college, I got a job in a law firm and like absolutely hated it. My boss was like an awful human being.
What kind of law?
It was a very small like boutique agency, so we kind of did a little bit of everything.
Okay.
Yeah. So I ended up like quitting that job in a really bad way.
Right.
And I was kind of like depressed a little bit, so I got like really back into the martial arts again.
Were you depressed because, I mean, and you can go where you want to go or not, but were you depressed because specifically because of the job thing, or was this just sort of like my place in life? Like, were you depressed because of the asshole boss and that experience, or was it like, where did I found myself in this place in my life and I'm just not happy in this place in my life?
It was more so that of just like, I was just lost. Like I had no idea what I wanted, what I was doing. Like I was just like, I was in a little crappy apartment in Brooklyn. Like I paid like $500 a month. Like it was like a shoebox.
Right.
$500 a month.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, as in like, I've never found a place in New York for $500 a month.
Imagine what that place looked like. I mean, mind you, this was like 10 years ago, but
probably like the changing room.
Yeah. So it was just all of that. And so I was like really into like the martial arts stuff because that was like my escape. I could like get out all my frustration and stuff.
Dude, I can relate. It's the most, it's so therapeutic, right?
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely.
It's like the worst times in my life, because like you, I'm a lifelong martial artist. The worst times in my life, and I'm still am. I mean, we're in my gym. I've had this gym 21 years. And as bad as things can get, like if you have that to go to, like it's like meditation. If you're training, you're not thinking about all the other shit.
Yeah.
I love coming to the gym when I spar. The only thing I don't do is spar when I'm in a bad way. But I love but I love to train.
Yeah. I'm the opposite. I like to spar because I literally, that's when my mind is completely blank. Like when I'm rolling with somebody or sparring with somebody, like there's no way you can think about that shit thing that just happened to you if you're worried about not getting submitted or not getting punched in the face, or like you're so in the moment when you spar.
Yeah, I know. I got other issues.
Yeah.
But what about you? So martial arts was this therapeutic thing for you at that time?
It was, yes. And then I went to this place called Brooklyn Zoo.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I love the Brooklyn Zoo.
And I was just like,
so just for the listeners who don't know, Brooklyn Zoo is kind of like a jam type place. They have like parkour stuff and a sprung floor and like tramp walls and stuff like that.
Ever took gymnastics and went to like a gymnastics center?
Yeah.
That's basically what the Brooklyn Zoo looks like.
Yeah. And there are a lot of, like in New York, there's a lot of performers who practice there and train there and stuff. Anyway, so you found Brooklyn Zoo.
Yes. I think I just like happened upon it and I was like, wow, this place like looks so cool. And it looked like a place where like I can kind of combine like my cheerleading with the martial arts, like even though I'm not a tricker by any means, but yeah, I just
you have a base for it that's like
right,
pretty much amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I am not a tricker.
No, I'm a crasher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
go up, I go down.
I don't go up so much anymore. I'm kind of old now, but
Yeah. So you're at Brooklyn Zoo and you're like, holy cow! Like, was this stuff meant for me or what?
Yeah, so I ended up meeting some stunt people there, and that was like the first time that like it even clicked in my mind, like, oh, I can make a career out of this. Which was pretty like exciting for me. And this I
Well, it's
remember
not like when you go to the high school guidance counselor and you're talking about what you're going to do with your life after that. Nobody ever says, "Well, there's this thing called a stunt performer."
yeah.
You
Which
know?
I wish they did, but
Yeah.
Actually, you're fucking right.
No, because you get pigeonholed into whatever some stereotypical gender-based roles and ridiculous jobs that people will.
And for a guy who used to get suspended for having fake fights with his friends, that would have been great knowledge.
yeah. Especially in Dix Hills, Long Island, where it's like
Right.
you're gonna be a lawyer, you're gonna go to Wall Street, like you're gonna work in finance. Like there was no arts, like there was no like, oh, you can go be an actor. Like
Yeah.
that just wasn't the town I grew up in,
Yeah. I remember when I went to school of visual arts for college, right? And I remember my uncle, who was the vice president of the bank, he was like, "Oh yeah, that's cool and stuff, but like, so how are you gonna live?
Exactly.
Like, what are you gonna do with your life?" I'm like, "No, but I'll figure out a way."
Mhm.
Like, that's not an answer. It's like, I'll figure out a way, So you discover this thing, stunt performing?
Yeah, and then I remember
thing.
like very clearly one day this girl was like showing me the Instagram page of XMA with
Oh,
my
right.
cat.
Yeah, Mike Chat's place in LA.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, that like looks so cool. And like the kids over there at like the old XMA, like the one that was on Lankershim in North Hollywood, they're not there anymore, unfortunately. But the kids that were over there, they were like incredible. So I was like, oh, I want to go there. So I did. And
That's it. That's awesome.
that's
huge.
what
That's-
brought me out to LA.
So okay, that's cool because I read that interview that you did on Voyage,
Okay.
and it sounded like you got to LA and found XMA, but actually it was XMA that brought you to LA.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly how it happened. And then
Did you get like did your friends and family, were they supportive of this, or were you sort of on your own?
you know what? It's kind of messed up, but I didn't really like tell anyone I was moving to LA. Like I like
You eloped with the city. You're like, I'm just gonna.
I really did. Like I kind of just like came out here and I was on like a month to month. So I thought like, maybe I'll just be out here for a while. But I ended up like booking a show pretty quickly out here and I was like, well, I guess this is it.
Dude, yeah, we were talking before you got on, like we had seen that you got to work pretty quickly, and some people would say like, oh, so lucky, but you know what?
Oh, yeah. I was going to say,
Yeah,
one of
go
the things
say
I
it.
was saying, I was like, most people would say that that's luck. And I was like, listen, I'm like, the opportunity of something coming across may be luck, but you getting it and keeping it, that's not luck. That's you. That's talent. And I was just like, it must have been spotted so quickly for you to grab something so great right away. And I mean, that's really, really awesome. And it just goes to show that the ability that you walked out to a place, you walked into a fucking jungle. I mean, that's awesome.
I mean, people every single day of their life, right?
Or like, I'm going to go to LA and I'm going to, bop, 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 bop. And then you hear the stories all the time.
Sure. And it's just like doors open to us every single day. And I guarantee people listening to this have the I should have done whatever in their back of their head, stories, whatever. Like doors open to us every day, but most people don't walk through those doors.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just went and did it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know what I mean?
Well, thank
So that's
you
cool.
guys so much for saying that. It really means a lot. I think I needed to hear that.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay. And so now let's talk about our sponsors and go home. No, no, but seriously, it's like, dude, it's the stereotype fighter. I could have been a champion. I could have been a contender, but you actually made it happen. You know what I mean? And that is not to talk like that. You just need that in this career. You need that. You need the drive to just say, I'm going to make this happen.
And then for it to happen, and then for you to continue on the career path that you have is just awesome.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
your
Very
IMDb
fortunate.
profile is it's stellar.
But I mean, it couldn't have been easy though. I mean, it couldn't have been easy. What was it like to just pick up and head over there? I mean, despite getting a job, you still didn't know anybody, didn't, you know what I mean? Like whatever. It was still, you were a stranger in a strange land.
I want to know what your first day on set was like after that.
Okay, sure. So actually, when I first got here, I had no job. I mean, I told you I quit the job in the law firm, so I was broke, like broke. I had no car out here. I would every morning I would.
You went to LA without a car?
Yes. Yeah. So every morning I would get on the bus, take the bus to the subway, which if anyone who is not in LA knows, like, you don't take public transportation here. Like, it's barely a thing. But
I still have my jaw's still open. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I've been there twice and I would fucking never.
Yeah. So I was taking public transportation in LA. I would have to wake up at like 6:30 a.m. to get to XMA by like whatever time class started. And I would kind of just like live there, honestly. Like, yeah.
Because you couldn't go back and forth.
But XMA is like a whole, right? XMA is a whole different deal than like Shotokan and all that.
Yeah.
Like, so what was that transition like?
Yeah. So Mike Chat, who is awesome, like, I wouldn't be where I am, honestly, if it weren't for Mike Chat. But when I first got there, I was so technical, like, with the Shotokan, like,
sure,
straight back, linear. And he would always be like, "Stop with the effing Shotokan!" like he had to like dirty me up a little bit because
he did a great job, because it was. I don't mean to cut you off, but totally of what you're talking about. It was something I mentioned to Steve. I'm like, I watch your training videos and I watch you on screen, and in your training videos, I see the cheerleader. I see the Shotokan. I see that precision, the pointing of the toes. Mm-hmm. Everything is meticulous. Mm-hmm. I don't see any of that on screen. And the first question I had was, how did you wash that? Because I feel that people that come from an athletic background or a martial arts background have the hardest time washing their training.
Yeah.
And I feel that right from the get-go, it was gone almost.
Yeah.
So that was good. This is awesome that you went into that, because I totally noticed it, and it was one of the first things I brought up to Steve.
Yeah, he before we got on the air, he was like, I was watching her reel. I need to ask her how she dirtied up her stuff. To, like, because some people have a real hard time making stuff look dirty. It's hard to look like you don't know what you know.
Yeah. Honestly, it was just practice. Like, I wish I had some like magical answer or something, but I think it's just like Mike Chat yelling at me enough times that finally,
You mean there's no pill?
My toe,
There's no magic pill. It's just hard work,
right?
Hard work and practice. What? Come on. Yeah. So that's cool. So then you get booked on this show. And what show was it that you got booked on?
It was a show on Nickelodeon called Night Squad.
Night Squad.
Like K
and you were on
HT.
That's cool. Yeah. What kind of? It's so funny because our last episode, if you listened to 2 weeks ago, we were talking about we have a future episode coming up with a guest that coordinates a lot of kids shows, mm-hmm. and we were going to talk about the intricacies of coordinating fights with kids and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But you actually lived it, so like, what was that like to work on the Nickelodeon show?
It was the best time that I could have ever asked for. Like, I was seriously living my childhood dreams. Like I got to work with all my friends. They actually brought on like 5 people from XMA. So we kind of already knew each other. And like honestly, like all we did was like goof around all day. Like I wish every production could be like this, honestly. Like from like the producers to the cast to everyone. Like it was just like going to work just to like hang out with friends and mess around.
That's cool. And you don't have the super long days, right? Because you have to work the kid hours.
That's right. Yes. And
That's cool.
it's kind of like a very similar schedule from week to week. Like you kind of know what to expect every week. Monday it's like rehearsal, Tuesday it's the studio run through, Wednesday it's network run through, and then it's like then you're shooting Thursday, Friday.
Can I hit pause for 1 minute? Just for our listeners, can you tell us what you mean when you say studio rehearsal versus network, or like all those stages? Just kind of give us a breakdown of what that means.
Yeah, so on Mondays it would be like just like us rehearsing, like cast and director and maybe like a producer will be there. And so we just like run through the entire show, and then on Tuesdays then you run it for the studio. So they all come in. And it's
the studio would, in this case, would be like Nickelodeon.
Right, yeah.
So they would have some kind of Nickelodeon executive or somebody would be like...
Right. It would be like probably like 10, 20 people. And it's kind of like doing a live play. So like we go from like we run the entire episode for them. And then we go literally from like set to set to set. So like everybody just like moves to the next set, and then we go and move to the next set, and then go move to the next.
It's like old school network sitcoms.
This is all multicam stuff, right?
Multicam show. Yeah.
So for the people listening, meaning multicam is like multiple cameras on the set. So you've got cameras in different locations.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Did that just as a sidebar? So if you're working on multicam like that, and you're doing some kind of performance, how? I mean, do you still have like camera A, B, C? Like what camera are you playing to? Or is it just like, just do your thing and we'll catch it with one of the cameras?
Yeah, it was more so that like there would be like, if it was like something specific, they'll tell you, but I think like mostly it was just like making sure you're in the light. Like that was the most important thing. Like make sure you're in the light and don't block somebody else's light.
Got you. Okay, so now you hopscotch from set to set with the studio execs, and then what's next?
And then after that's all done, then they give the notes to whoever, the director, whatever changes that need to be made, and then we implement those changes on Wednesday. Then we do the entire thing all over again for the network. They give their notes. And then we shoot Thursday, Friday.
That sounds stressful, though. I mean, it's almost like that. When you said doing a lot, it's like doing a play for a small VIP audience. I'm like, oh my God. It's like when I go to a play and I watch, I'm like, oh my God, you have to memorize all that and do it all in a row. It's not like, let's just do this line and cut and then do that line and cut. And
my brain would explode.
Yeah. You see, like it sounds stressful, and maybe it would be stressful for me now, but back then I was like so young, and like I was saying, like I was with like my friends and stuff, so like nothing really ever felt serious. Like obviously it was serious, it was a job, and we're all professional, but it was just like fun. Like I don't know, like I never really had like the nerves or the jitters or anything, and like plus like the producers and stuff were like so cool. Like if somebody messed up, like they wouldn't like yell at you or get mad.
I mean, I'm sure it's got to be like what you would think a Nickelodeon environment would be,
or should be,
especially in this day and age, because it obviously it gets out.
Right.
Not, like if it's a
I mean, listen. I mean,
I'm so glad that you're saying that, because I'm like, oh, now I you know, I'm like, okay, my kid can watch Nickelodeon shows now because I know that like behind the camera, it's not like whoosh.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
not like that at all.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So that must have been amazing though. Like you know, so you made this decision to move to LA and you're like, I'm just going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And then it actually happened.
Yeah, it was kind of
That's pretty crazy.
one of those things where it's like, I have nothing to lose, so I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you make the jump from kid shows to like say you know, scripted, you know, more scripted stuff like the adult stuff?
Just kind of what I was getting called for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I was getting like after that, I was getting called to double like teenagers.
Right.
But for like for like a Snowfall or Marvel's Runaways or something like that, like kind
Sure.
of still, you know, doubling kids, but not on multicam Nickelodeon.
Did you say, is that what you did in Snowfall?
Yes, yeah.
You doubled a kid. I love that show.
Yeah, she was
That was a great show.
She was like 15 on the show, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, not like a kid. I'm tall, so I can't really double kids, but
Right.
teens. Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, I still have the baby face, even though I'm old. But
You keep on saying old, and I was gonna let it go and not ask, but you said it too many times, so I'm gonna ask, how old are you? What do you think is old?
You can't ask that.
I'm like, look at who you're talking
You can't
to.
ask that.
You're gonna before you give your testimonial.
PC warning.
When it's not recording, you're gonna let us know. Because
I'll let you know after.
The more you say you're old, my joints have started to hurt more in this episode.
Oh, mine too.
So listen, I'm gonna read something to you,
Mm-hmm.
and then if you could just give us your first reaction. I'm actually old, so I got to put glasses on for this. Like,
I forgot to take mine off.
You never take yours off.
I forget all the time, I guess.
Yeah. Got to put the glasses on. People watching the YouTube will see, like, the glasses. But, okay, here we go. I'm going to read this to you. Interior, Discovery, Deck 13, Day. Burnham and Season 1 Burnham spill out of the lift. And as Season 1 Burnham makes the next move, a kick that sends the communicator, by the way, which I have one right here. I'm such a nerd, but I'm going to interrupt him just so I can make this sound. No sound.
You got to turn it on.
Very
Oh my God.
anticlimactic.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. This is my Bluetooth communicator. There we go.
It actually connects to his fucking phone.
This connects to my phone.
Wow, that's
So like when people call me, I can pick it up on.
That's awesome.
I just love that this is the first episode where you get to be the nerd, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, usually Paul brings all the memorabilia to stick on the table, but this time it was all me. Let me get back to reading this. So, a kick that sends the communicator in Burnham's hand flying. An epic battle begins. That's part street brawl, part martial arts clinic. Back and forth, they exchange incredible moves. In essence, it's the most evenly matched fight we've ever seen between two fighters who could not be more equally capable. And at one point, when Burnham seems to finally get the upper hand, Season 1 Burnham counters with an equally savvy move and wrenches away. Some space between them now. They take a breather, and Burnham again tries to strike reason with her younger self. So what's so cool, and for those listening, I saw Sherry post on Facebook, because I watched the show regularly, so I had seen the fight. And then I didn't even know that you were doubling Burnham. And then I saw you post, like, this was such an amazing experience to do this fight, right? This Burnham fighting Burnham. And I was like, I got to reach out to her and see if she'll come on the show. Because what's cool is, like, you are now part of this sort of lineage. I mean, not just Star Trek IP, but throughout the series, since the beginning, there's been this tradition of characters fighting themselves, right? There's several instances of Kirk fighting Kirk, or Spock meeting Spock, or, you know, just meeting each other, fighting each other.
Riker had an episode where he fought himself.
Riker and Next Generation had to deal with Riker. Like, in that case, Riker had been split in two. There was a separate Riker created.
Did your parents tell you any of this?
They gave me a little bit of a rundown of
yes.
Yeah.
Like 1969, Kirk had to, there's a great scene, Kirk, an alien posing as Kirk, and Spock had to figure out which was the real Kirk. And then they end up fighting each other, the two Kirks. So like you're now part of this long Star Trek tradition of crew fighting themselves or dealing with themselves or intellectually fighting themselves, not necessarily physical. So when you get this job and read this script, what's your thought?
Yeah, so actually when I got the call for the job, I didn't even know really what it was. Cuz they keep these kind of things secret.
Oh, totally. It's
yeah.
like, are you free this day? You're going to have a little scuffle. And then you see the sides, you're like, that's more than a little scuffle.
Yeah, I mean, the coordinator, Chris McGuire, he told me it was like a very technical fight and stuff like that. Which is why like they were able to fly somebody from LA all the way to Toronto, because like they needed somebody who like specifically could do like the technical like martial arts style of it, of
right,
the way Burnham fights.
That was a question for me. That was actually a little question I had back in my head because I know they shoot in Canada.
Yep.
And so you were able to work in Canada, which is cool.
Yeah. It was kind of a lengthy process for the Canadian government to allow me to work there. But
yeah.
I was gonna say that stuff's not easy.
Yeah, no.
We'll come back to that.
Sure.
But anyway, so you managed to get to Canada for this job.
Yes. And then when I found out that I would be fighting myself, I was like, oh, wow, that's going to be an interesting challenge. And then learning I'm the only double. I was like, literally jaw on the floor, like, you're not going to have another double? Like, he's like, no, because we need to see her face at like whichever side that, we're shooting on. So it has to be like.
So they needed to map it.
Yeah. So then learning, I'm going to have to learn both sides of the fight.
Right. And how did what was Sonequa Martin-Green is who plays Michael Burnham.
Yes.
Right. What's her skill level like? How did that work out?
Oh, she's insane. Like, she's so talented, so hardworking. Like, she hardly had time to rehearse, honestly, because she's like producer on the show. She's the star of the show. She's wearing so many different hats. So it's like, it would be like, okay, we get her for 15 minutes and we got to teach her real quick. Okay, next time we get her for 30 minutes, but we'll push it for 45, like, oh yeah, we'll be there in a second, and like, quick, learn this. And she just like is a sponge. Like, she just picks it up right away, and she's just like total badass. Like, incredible.
I mean, the fight looks great. If you haven't watched, the listeners and viewers, just pause. The link to a sort of shorter version of the fight from YouTube is there. The fight's a little longer, so go to watch the actual episode to see the fight. But you can see what we're talking about. So definitely check out the fight.
What was the sequence of how you shot the fight?
Yeah.
So were you like switching in one day, or did you shoot one side one day, another side another day?
Yeah, we did that. One day I was season 1, she was season 2. The next day she was season 5, excuse me.
Right.
I was season 1. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you sent us a picture of four of you together. You, Martin-Green, and 2 others. Who were the other 2 people?
Yeah, there was Tiana, who was my practice buddy. So we learned the fight together. And then her stand-in was the other one.
So it's basically like the 4 Burnhams.
Right. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So again, you broke it into 2 days, and then you each played each part.
Yes. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yep.
What kind of feedback did you get from people?
You mean like on set or just in general?
Or both, on set and off set, like even from your parents, the fans.
Yeah, I mean, on set, like, everyone was just like, so blown away. Like, you know, like when they clap after you finish or whatever, but this was like a crazy like applause, like after the whole thing was said and done. Like, and then the director, like, she came up and she hugged me and stuff. She's like,
Oh,
thank you
nice.
so much.
That's always good.
Yeah, which is very rare for that to happen.
It's totally rare. It's totally rare.
Yeah, and everyone was just like so excited. A few weeks later, the stunt coordinator, Chris McGuire, he sends me a text and he's like, this was the best fight of the whole season. Like, I'm so glad that like you were able to come out and work on this and all that. So it really was awesome hearing that feedback. And then from the fans, I mean, everybody just like absolutely loved it. Like, even, like I check like Reddit and stuff, like see what like people are saying about it. And,
Sure,
I'm like, if
we
the
do that
Reddit
too.
approves, then we did a good job because they don't hold back.
No, Reddit doesn't play.
Nope. No,
So
they
yeah,
don't.
it was awesome.
I actually had my axe throwing video that went viral,
So you don't know this, but Paul's a competitive axe thrower.
and I just whatever. I had a shot.
This was
and it
at a world
crazy.
championship match, by the way,
And,
not just
Wow.
any, like, you know.
And I threw my axe into the back of my partner's axe, but it stuck into the metal piece. So it stuck into the metal, and it went viral. And some of the funniest shit I've ever read, like the people were harsh. They wrote some mean shit, but it was some of the funny shit I've ever read about myself. So I don't even want to. And that was just a random like axe throwing video. Let alone being on a nationally, universally syndicated show that people can comment on, and no one had anything negative to say.
I mean,
That's
I can't
pretty
say
amazing.
no one. It's still the internet, but
Well, there's always haters on the
I
internet.
mean, true, but I mean, nothing that was anything substantial.
yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
For the most
But if-
part, it was positive. Absolutely, yeah.
That's cool. I mean, there's always that random.
I got a lot of fat Shia LaBeouf jokes.
There's always that random person that's like, well, that's not how it would happen in real life. I'm like, dude, it's not real life. It's a fucking TV show.
Yeah, or that's not realistic. Like, obviously, you're not going to fight yourself. Like,
Yeah, I know. There's always that person like that comes out with some idiotic comment like that. Yeah, and if you're listening to this,
It's like obviously you've
idiot.
never been to New York. I watch people fight themselves all the time. You've ever been on any train ever?
Yeah. So that's so cool. So it's great that you got to go up to Canada and do this too. That's
yeah, my
freaking
first
awesome.
time ever in Canada.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What'd you
first and
think?
only time. It was fun. Kind of cloudy and humid, but other than that,
Yeah.
Other than that, it was awesome. Yeah.
And when did you guys what's the shooting schedule? When did you guys shoot this compared to when it dropped?
We shot this in July of 2022.
Oh wow.
And it
okay.
just dropped like last month.
Yeah, last month, a few weeks
wow.
ago. Yeah.
I feel like that's a while for a series.
Yeah.
I feel like normally they're out a little bit quicker.
I mean, that was probably strike related stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
Or no?
We finished shooting before the strikes.
No, but I mean,
No, but I mean,
maybe they
putting
saved
it out,
Maybe they saved it.
They may have saved
because,
it.
or
Maybe
something.
I actually don't know,
knows?
but I know my parents were like upset. Like they were like, "When is the new season coming out?" They're like, "Yeah,
Yeah, totally.
yeah."
I mean, I was feeling the same way as a fan. I was like, "Come on, I need my Star Trek, man."
I can't lie. I don't watch the show.
It's literally the
I'm
only
not gonna
reason I
lie.
subscribe to Paramount Plus. It's like
I subscribe to Paramount Plus because my wife watches every single drag show known to
man,
the universe. I didn't even want to say man because it's a drag show.
known to them,
But
yeah.
known to them, like first of all, I do enjoy those shows. They really are great.
Oh,
like I
they're
love
so
RuPaul.
fun.
RuPaul's Drag Race is kind of fucking awesome.
Dude, okay, listen. We all watch the shows that we wouldn't admit to watching.
Like RuPaul's Drag Race is
Like,
awesome.
all right, yes, I'm a fan of fucking Gilmore Girls, okay? I watch fucking Gilmore Girls. Virgin River, okay? I watched Virgin River, Pretty Little Liars, Summer of A, baby. Come on.
Summer of A? What's that?
You don't watch Pretty Little Liars?
No.
Love Pretty Little
See?
Liars.
My wife got me so into Pretty Little Liars, man. And now they got. Are you watching the new ones?
No, I was like a OG kind of girl.
Me too. The new ones, I ain't gonna lie. I mean, they shoot them here in New York, which is cool, but it's like they're definitely not up there with the original.
Yeah,
They're good.
I was obsessed
They're good,
with
but
Pretty Little Liars though. Like every Thursday, I'm like 7 p.m. Gotta watch Pretty Little Liars.
yeah. Pretty Little Liars was good.
I kind of miss that about making sure you're home to watch a show, and then when you miss it, like, do you remember the days like when you missed a show? You're like, what the fuck do I do?
Yeah,
I missed an episode. It was impossible to pretty much ever watch again unless the network had a late night re-showing that sometimes would happen like at 2 a.m.
Well, dude, that brings us back to Star Trek, the original. Like when we would have family night to watch it because that was the only chance to watch it.
That's it.
That was it. You know, we're spoiled now,
right? It's kind of crazy.
Totally. So, what do you got going on in the future? I'm
like, wait, are you that old that you know what we're talking about?
Kind of, but around the Pretty Little Liars time, you could like record the show.
I mean, so Pretty Little Liars. Wait, that started out on ABC Family.
Yeah,
right. That was on ABC Family. I remember watching that show. Did you ever watch the show, Paul?
No.
All right. So basically, there's one story arc. There are all these high school girls, right?
Okay.
And there's a murderer that's A that assigns everything A. That's the summer of A, right? The summer that this murderer was killing everybody and doing all this stuff.
Oh, okay.
But one of the girls was in a relationship with her high school teacher. And this is like on ABC Family, and they're like celebrating this basically inappropriate relationship. Like, how is this on ABC Family? How is this on Family?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, there was no discussion about that. This is creepy that this dude's...
There's some weird shit on like Hallmark Lifetime. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
it
like that
wasn't
movie.
Like, oh, this is like a bad thing that's happening. It was like, ooh, this like hot relationship with teachers.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was totally that.
Yeah.
It was totally that.
Okay, that's fucked up.
It was weird.
Yeah.
But that's like, did you see Licorice Pizza? Did you see Licorice Pizza?
I did not. No.
It was a movie. It was like an Oscar.
Oh, the movie. Yeah. Okay.
But it was about a high school guy in a relationship with an adult woman, and everybody was praising it, right? And she met him because she was like the photographer doing like the class pictures and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't know. Everybody was praising this. I'm like, that's creepy, dude. That was like way creepy.
Yeah.
Because if the roles were reversed, if it was a male photographer that went in to take pictures of the classes for their yearbooks or whatever, and got into a relationship with a female student, that shit would have been canceled by Hollywood right away. But because it was like, seriously.
I know. No, I'm just saying it. When you describe it, I'm like, I don't even think it would have gotten far enough to get canceled.
But it was a female adult in a relationship with a high school guy, and everybody was like, oh, how romantic. I'm like, that's creepy, dude. I don't know.
Yeah.
But whatever, it wasn't creepy enough to stop me from watching Pretty Little Liars. So like, whatever.
Either.
True.
But the new ones are cool because they're like, they do a lot of homage to classic horror. So if you like horror stuff,
okay,
you're like doing homages to Carrie and Leatherface and like Friday the 13th, and like they're doing all this classic stuff, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah. Definitely good. So what's going on now for you?
I just wrapped a feature. I can't tell too much about it because it's still under wraps. But it's the life story of a very famous musician.
Oh, cool.
And that's kind of as much as I can say.
Can you
you don't
say what, not what you did, but what you were hired to do for the, like,
were you doubling somebody? Were you like a core team member?
I was doing stunts on it. Yeah.
Cool.
Very cool. Without revealing any plot points or anything, what are some of the gags that you got to do?
Anything you haven't done before.
I'm trying to think what I can say. I got to do a really cool car hit, which was fun.
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool.
First
one? I was going to ask you if that was your first one.
Yeah. So that was a lot of fun.
How fast was the car going?
Just like 10, 15. Yeah.
That's cool.
Did you go over the hood, off the front, over the back, side? How'd it work?
No, just over the hood onto the ground. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, definitely not the thing. But.
Yeah, not the big. So look, we were talking about this 2 weeks ago, and we're going to ask you this question now. There's always that little spot on your body, because like 2 weeks ago, I did a stair fall on a show here in New York. I couldn't wear a lot of pads because of the wardrobe, but I was able to wear some pads under my pants.
Mm-hmm.
And I had old surgery on my ankle, so when my left ankle has like some hardware in it, right? And there was a little piece of my ankle, like, of course, the one spot that I dinged in that gag was exactly the one spot where I didn't have enough coverage. You know, like on the pad, like when you do these gags, somehow nature
one
finds
spot that for some reason always finds the ground.
Yeah, there's
even
one
though
spot.
you're like, I didn't even roll on that side. Why does this? Do you have like a point?
That's what I'm asking you. Was there that one spot in this car hit
that every time you go into a gig, you're like, I need to protect this?
Yes,
I don't care what I'm doing.
My right shoulder is destroyed. I mean, I'm supposed to be getting surgery on it, but I've just been like pushing it off. But yeah, my right shoulder is just so messed up. Like,
I know, it's like, right, no matter what you do to protect it,
yeah,
it's like somehow the stunt gods find that spot and make it hit that piece of concrete.
Yeah. I bent down to pick up a pencil like a few days ago, and my
What are you, John Wick?
popped like out.
Oh no.
Yes, like that's how bad it is. So
no,
Steve, how many times you put in my shoulder?
What?
I don't
in class. In class, how many times you put in my shoulder?
I don't even know, man.
He's like I can see his face. You guys can't see it. How grossed out it is right now. This man is literally put in both of my shoulders back into the fucking socket.
Yeah,
like multiple times.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy though? Everybody has that one spot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody has that one spot.
My shoulders were definitely it. Until you want to know what was weird. Calvin was one of the guys. He hurt his shoulder, and I started mimicking a lot of the exercises he was doing, and I keep doing them.
We're talking about Calvin on. Maybe you met him at the zoo back in the day. I don't know, but he's a performer over here in New York. And if you go back to episode three or four, maybe three, whatever. You go back. He doubled Chosen in Cobra Kai. Yeah,
and he had a shoulder injury, and he came back so quick. And I was just like I had never really done anything proper with.
But he's
shoulders.
A trainer too.
But yeah, so
That's
I just started
mimicking
working a lot of those exercises, and both of my shoulders have not, knock on wood, have not come out since I started doing all of the exercise that Calvin showed me.
Yeah, I've heard some really good things about PRP. It's like a shot. I might try that before getting the surgery. But
what kind of a shot?
This is like way above my pay grade, but I think it's
okay. Yeah, no. Most of that shit is above mine. That's why I asked.
Yeah, I think it's like something where they take like your platelets or something, or and like inject it back into you or something like that. But
sure. Whoa.
Yeah.
All right.
You take collagen peptides or anything like that?
No, I don't.
That you should do.
Yeah,
you should do that. That has
even just like collagen gummies. I take the ones at night to help me sleep. And
we're not giving
them. They're great.
Listen, we're not giving medical advice on this show, so just saying. But so follow this advice at your own risk. Here you go. But I would say definitely take collagen peptides and make sure you get you can get like type 1, type 2, or type 3.
But don't definitely do it because we're not giving advice.
Yeah, definitely don't do it. But no, seriously, it's like marked improvement in my joints, like since I've been taking it.
All right.
But you have to make sure you get, because one of the types is more for hair, one's more for skin, one's more for joints.
Yeah.
So I use you can get formulas that have all three types.
Yeah.
So
yeah, 100%, I guess I only really heard about it like for like your skin and stuff. So
yeah. But there's actually studies. There's actually studies on collagen peptides and the progression of arthritis and things like that. So
good to know.
You definitely. I mean, it's not gonna, if you're obviously super damaged already, it's not gonna like stop progression, but it'll slow things down and make it a little better for you.
Yeah. Okay.
For sure.
Yeah, I'll try that.
Okay, so you just did this show you can't talk about with the cool car hit.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
Upcoming?
Yeah.
Upcoming? I don't know, honestly. I feel like the industry is kind of slow right now. I got a call about some feature that's shooting like in a few months. There's a show that I work on called For All Mankind. They're coming back in the summer.
I love that show.
Yeah.
I love that show.
Oh yeah, I love that show
Dude,
too. It's a show that I
it's a great
actually
show.
watch. But yeah, I double actress on that show. So that's like the next thing I think that's coming up for me. Yeah.
That's sweet.
Mhm.
That's a really cool show. I love I mean generally I like the sort of alternative history shows.
Me too.
But,
It's my favorite kind.
Yeah. That brings up an interesting topic, which is like the industry is a little slow right now. What do you do when you're not working? And by that I mean it could just mean do you have another job? What do you do to keep busy? What do you do intellectually? Like what's the downtime? Because the thing about this business, right, is like when you're working,
it's great.
It's fucking amazing. And then when you're not working, you're just so depressed because you're not working. Like the ups and downs in this business can be pretty extreme.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that I'm so happy, very far from depressed right now, which thank you. But I just live life, you know, other than training, of course. I just live life like I have my partner going on vacation. I got to go to Tokyo during the strike, which I would have never allowed myself to like take a vacation like that otherwise, because I would be paranoid, like, oh my god, am I gonna get a call for work or whatever?
Yeah, the minute you pay for the ticket,
every time
the coordinator calls.
Yeah, which actually did happen. Even I was like, it's the strike, but it was a music video. So
oh, there you go.
Yeah, but
so how was Tokyo? I went to Japan for the first time in 2017, and I fell in love with the place. My wife and I are like, we need to go back. You know, I was coaching a world team for combat wrestling, the U.S. team over there, and then my wife and I went early so we can spend some time in Japan. And I was like, holy shit. I always knew I would love this country, but I really do love this country.
We booked flights twice, but because COVID kept coming back around, we weren't able to do it. And then we had our wonderful baby.
That's it. Then you became a dad.
So now it's been tough.
So you're not going anywhere for a while, motherfucker.
That's it. Well, who needs to fucking put that thing in a briefcase and take it with
So how was Japan? How was Japan?
Amazing. I mean, we joke around all the time that like we're never gonna vacation anywhere else ever again. Like we're just gonna keep going back to Japan. We had the best time there. Like I can't believe a place like that even exists in the world.
Did you do any firsts while you were over there? Anything you've never done before?
You mean besides go to Japan?
No, but food wise, anything. Because I mean, they have food that's just like unreachable over here. So did you do any firsts? Did you know?
You know, I'm not a very adventurous eater, I have to say. I'm very picky. I don't eat a lot of like fish or seafood or stuff, which I know like is a lot of like Japanese cuisine or whatever. But I mean, the best part was that like we would just like randomly be walking around and like lost because we don't speak Japanese. And we would just like happen upon like these tiny little
or read it.
I actually
so
like,
when you say lost, I'm like
how to read like Japanese characters like before I went.
Oh, that's cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm like barely like know anything, but
no, yeah, like
cool.
the important words like exit, emergency.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
dude, I never thought about that. That's fucking smart.
Well, no, because when we went to Japan, we had the little app on your phone, you know, where you could like look at the sign and it would tell you what it said.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it was even too complicated for the app.
Yeah.
But the words that it would get were those kinds of words, like toilet, exit, you know, stairway. This, you know, like basic words like that.
Yeah.
That's cool. So did you? What was the favorite thing you ate? Because Paul, I don't know if you know this. Paul's a professional.
I was a chef for like 25 years. I'm still a chef. before I got into stunts.
So what was your favorite meal that you
so
had
I immediately went to food.
You're a chef, a professional axe thrower, a podcast host. I mean, you do it all. That's awesome. Favorite meal? Oh, so like I was saying, like you would get like lost and like just happen upon like these tiny little like restaurants that it's just like whoever's owning it owns the place is also like cooking like right in front of you. Like in Japan, it's not like they go cook in the back or whatever. Like they're there like cooking in front of you. It's the most amazing thing.
Like omakase.
Yeah. And so I went into one of these little restaurants and had this like amazing curry dish. And that was by far the best meal I ever had. And it was so cheap.
Very cool. Not much else on the horizon except for this awesome thing that you can't talk about. When will you? I wonder.
Sounds like there's a bunch of things that she can't talk about.
No,
I
mean
like 3 things on the horizon. I feel like you have a show.
Well, no, I said the one she can't talk about. Oh, well, no, and For All Mankind.
See?
Yeah. You'll have to come back on when For All Mankind drops, or this secret movie that you were on drops.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to come back anytime.
I'm like, I'm all about the secret movie.
Yeah. I dig your energy, man. When you come back to New York, you still have family here.
Oh, my parents are moving to North Carolina.
Oh, gosh.
Yes.
Why North Carolina?
My mom got a job there. They like promoted her or whatever. I'm like, Ma, when I visit you, I don't want to go to North Carolina. I want to go to New York.
You have to do a stopover in New York and come train with us.
Like now you have to actually go and visit your parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What she got to promote? What does she do?
She works for Taco Bell. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. She's like a regional manager or something like that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, Alec, we have a friend, Alec Kossoff, a stunt performer here, who's like, he's also in a band. He's a drummer in a band. And
in a fucking like a heavy metal, like a death metal band.
Like a death metal band. And he what is it? On one of the tours they were on, they gave them all Taco Bell gift cards.
Oh yeah, that's right.
For their food. And so he is totally. I've never seen anybody more addicted to Taco Bell than him.
He loves Taco Bell. I have every once in a while I get a Nachos Bel Grande craving.
Oh, those are so good.
Nachos Bel Grande, but no tomatoes.
But here's the important thing: do you get discounts? Do you get Taco Bell?
I have a weird thing with vegetables from fast food places. I feel like I'm safer with everything else, but the vegetables, things that can go like cold and hot and weird, doesn't work for me.
I guess that makes logical sense.
Like I feel like sometimes I look at vegetables and I'm like, that looks wet.
Yeah. So when you order,
aren't tomatoes
I don't see.
Wet?
I'm like, why can I see through this cubed pieces of like cucumber? I'm like, it shouldn't be transparent.
Do you get the Taco Bell gift cards and discounts and stuff? You get a little hookup on the Taco Bell?
Between you and me, yeah.
And everybody else watching this.
Everybody, that's awesome. So you are my new best friend. So when we go to LA,
she's gonna get stalked by Alec now.
We're just gonna get
Alec's gonna be like, I need the gift card, man.
I mean, it's pretty cheap anyway, to be honest.
Yeah, it is.
Like $1.
That's a good comeback
for a taco.
There are just some days
how
like,
is it so cheap?
But seriously though, if you end up back in New York, you have to let us know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been wanting to come check out the studio for a long time, so yeah, and absolutely.
Hopefully, we'll be back to LA soon enough.
Yeah,
I feel like it should be like a once a year thing going to LA.
Yeah, I mean, we were there last year for Paul's bachelor party. We went out for a couple weeks.
My belated COVID bachelor party.
Yeah, his bachelor party years later after he already had a daughter, but you know.
Thank you to my lovely wife for letting me go away for a full week after having pretty much a newborn baby. It was awesome for her.
But don't feel obligated, because you know how it is. Like when you travel, right? It's like sometimes you want to keep it secret and just like so nobody will bother you, like that they know that you're in town or whatever.
Yeah.
But you can always come work out with us.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean,
open
I'm
invitation.
You up on that offer? Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure, man. And we'll definitely be back to LA, and then you'll be included in the beer night and the hanging out and the training days.
Can't wait.
wherever we go. Yeah, man.
We are
Cool.
so thankful that you came on the show. This was so cool.
Oh,
Totally.
I mean,
I'm
like,
just
we had a
so
blast.
grateful that I had the chance to talk to you guys today. Like, it really was a blast.
And I
Cool.
know he loved going down the what are we talking about? Star Wars, Star Trek?
Don't say Star Wars.
Whatever, dude.
But I'm a Star Wars fan too. I don't buy into that whole, rivalry Star Wars.
I
Star
just
Trek
like
thing.
being a dick. I love
Yeah.
Star Trek. Like I said, I grew up watching The Next Generation. I was there in front with my family every single night watching it.
There you go. But I wasn't kidding before. I mean, I think it's really cool, like, because there is this like history of crew members facing themselves.
It is pretty awesome. I mean, like when he said that we have Sherry on, and I'm like, okay, cool, fight from, and he's like, no, but it's the fight when she fought herself, and I was like, wait a second.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
that's a
That's
cool fight.
even I know that's a big thing in Star Trek when the captains fight themselves. Like I've seen all those episodes, and I'm not a fan. And the fact that you are just a fucking awesome person, and then the second we get off air, you gotta tell me how old you are.
and she's
You
a
won't
New
let
Yorker.
that one go. I got you.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. We had a blast.
Yeah, same here. Thank you guys.
Hopefully we'll
Right.
talk to you and see you soon.
Yes. Yes.
Totally. Later. Live long and prosper. Fights with Friends is brought to you by Breakfall Studios and Press Record Studios. Executive producers Stephen Kepfer, Paul Veracci, and Tiago Benedetti. Produced by Matthew Kaplowitz. Associate producers Becca GT and Jared DeCrose. Our video editor is Matthew Kaplowitz. Original music by Aru Luster.